The Honourable Elizabeth Dowdeswell was appointed Ontario's 29th Lieutenant Governor following a distinguished public service career. As Lieutenant Governor, her mandate focuses on Ontario in the world and sustainability, including its three interrelated components: environmental stewardship, inclusive economic prosperity and innovation, and social and cultural inclusion. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the Honourable Elizabeth Dowdeswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario.
I also can't see with the distinguished guests, Your Worship, elected officials, dear friends, mes chers amis, good evening, bonsoir, bonjour. I wish to begin by acknowledging York Region as a sacred gathering place for the many Indigenous peoples of Turtle Island, and pay tribute tonight particularly to the ancient and enduring legacy of First Nations and Métis people as stewards of this land. I was really very pleased to be with you today in the community, first of all, and my thanks to Her Worship and to so many of you who joined to meet with me this afternoon. But I'm particularly pleased because we're, of course, celebrating the 100th anniversary of the saving and restoration of a building that is of great historical significance, not only to this region, but as I've heard, to this province and in fact to our country. If we cast our minds back to 1917, Canada was in the middle of the Great War. Many of our young men were either on the Atlantic in ships or across it in trenches at places such as Vimy Ridge and Hill 70. Those who remained at home contributed to the war effort in ways previously unseen. Our Confederation was just 50 years old, and Canadians were still considered British subjects. Our flag was the Union Jack, and the Statute of Westminster, which gave us legislative independence, was 14 years in the future. It is significant that just as our country was coming into its own on the international stage during the First World War, those who came before you here in East Gwillimbury decided to restore this temple in the time before Confederation. Children of Peace had supported elections in Upper Canada and responsible government as well, and championed many of the principles for which our soldiers would later fight, principles that we now see as quintessentially Canadian. The story of our heritage here in Ontario is a story of innovation. We build our province together by implementing new ideas and by creatively adapting traditions to fresh surroundings. And this is what the Children of Peace did here. The Sharon Temple's architecture itself is inventive, and even though the temple is built on a square foundation, it's the work of people who were adept at thinking outside the box. This is a place of firsts. Our province's first civilian band was started here. Its first organ was built here. Its first credit union was established here in Sharon, as well as Ontario's first homeless shelter. It's really quite amazing. I look forward to the musical performance that we'll be hearing here later tonight, and note that it was here that famed Canadian musician and singer Lorena McKennett recorded her 2010 album, The Wind That Shakes the Barley. So in establishing this site as a museum, now restored as a National Historic Site, the town of East Gwillimbury has dedicated itself to teaching us about a crucial aspect of our past. And that is the way that Ontarians have looked towards the future. And not out of self-interest, but out of a genuine spirit of inclusion, born from faith and carried on by a diverse community throughout generations. As we celebrate this 150th